Since the Republican Party was unable to repeal the Affordable Care Act legislatively, what they've been doing is trying to attack it judicially. And Trump has been using his executive power to chip away at the Affordable Care Act. And basically, they're trying to destroy it with death by 1,000 cuts. That's essentially been their tactic. And the most disgusting part about all of this is as they try to strip away the Affordable Care Act, including provisions that protect us, protect people with pre-existing conditions, they're trying to assure you that they support protections for people with pre-existing conditions. It's a lie. But now they can't even hide behind this false sense of, oh, we support protections for people with pre-existing conditions, because they're just outright now supporting a lawsuit that would repeal the Affordable Care Act. Full stop. And as Dan Diamond of Politico reports, the Trump administration on Monday said it supports a federal judge's ruling that the entire Affordable Care Act should be thrown out, signaling a shift in the Justice Department's position and alarming Democrats who vowed to oppose the move. The Department of Justice has determined that the district court's judgment should be affirmed, 3 Justice Department lawyers wrote to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is now considering the case. The United States is not urging that any portion of the district court's judgment be reversed. Regardless of the outcome, legal experts anticipate that the Fifth Circuit's ruling will be appealed to the Supreme Court. If the courts ultimately strike down Obamacare over the objections of a group of Democrat-led states, which have spent more than a year defending the health law in court, the consequences could be substantial for patients, healthcare organizations, and other groups that have adapted to the 9-year-old law. More than 20 million Americans are covered through the Affordable Care Act's Medicaid expansion and its insurance exchanges. The sweeping law, the object of repeated legal challenges since its 2010 passage, has transformed the nation's healthcare system, creating new patient protections and reshaping payments for doctors and hospitals. Some of the Trump administration's proposed drug price reforms depend on provisions contained in the ACA. Senior Trump health officials haven't detailed how they would respond if all of Obamacare is struck down. So this is all around bad news, but I think there's 2 primary reasons why this would be a disaster. Because if you dismantle the Affordable Care Act, or what's left of the Affordable Care Act, we are put in an objectively worse place. All of the people who got the Medicaid expansion, 20 million people, would presumably lose their health insurance, and many others would. You could expect the cost of healthcare to skyrocket, since if the ACA goes away, then the subsidies with the ACA to insurance companies would presumably diminish as well. So this would be a disaster, and it would put us in a far off worse position than we are today, because the ACA is essentially this right-wing healthcare law that just pumps money into the healthcare system to try to keep the costs down. It's a subsidy-based reform. So if you get rid of the ACA and then get rid of the subsidies, what do you think is going to happen? The costs will increase. Now, since Trump took office, more people have lost health insurance, millions more people, and the costs have increased. But he's trying to make us worse off than we are now. Why? Because Obamacare is bad because Obama did it. That's really the only reason he has to do this. Now, the second reason I think this is awful is because with this renewed attack on the totality of the Affordable Care Act, this will embolden corporate Democrats who don't want to back Medicare for All. People like Amy Klobuchar who say, look, I don't support Medicare for All, but I want to do what I can to defend the ACA. That's where we should be dedicating all of this energy, not towards pushing for Medicare for All, but instead in defending the ACA. And now, this is going to give them the cover that they need. It's going to allow them to hide behind this mantle of defending the ACA so they don't have to back the policy solution that will solve the healthcare crisis in America once and for all. So all around, this is just horrible news. And I don't understand how, if you're a Trump supporter and you're a beneficiary of the Affordable Care Act, which many Trump supporters are, you can be okay with this. Because the ACA It wasn't great, it wasn't substantial, but was it a step in the right direction? Of course, you can't deny that if you're on the left or the right, because it allowed individuals to stay on their parents' plans until they're 26. It stopped health insurance companies from discriminating against people with pre-existing conditions. These are protections that are common sense, but Trump's administration now, they're just openly saying, just get rid of the whole thing because Obama bad. Well, I mean, come up with your own healthcare policy. They can't. They tried this, multiple iterations of Trumpcare, a skinny repeal, and they all failed because Obamacare was their plan. It was the right-wing policy that they initially supported that was created by the Heritage Foundation and implemented by Mitt Romney. So because they decided to so vociferously and passionately oppose Obamacare because the left decided to adopt it, well, now they're stuck in this awkward position where they know they don't like Obamacare, but they can't really propose anything that is a free market alternative because Obamacare was that. So they look like unserious people because they're not serious about crafting policy. They're only interested in playing politics, which is why they tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act dozens of times, even when Obama was president and when he would obviously veto it, because it's all about getting the left, it's all about triggering libs, and this is what they want to do. But in the process, being in this position where you have power, people are going to suffer because you want to play politics with people's lives and repeal a half measure that wasn't even a half measure. Obamacare was essentially a quarter measure if you want to be kind and charitable. But I mean, they can't let it stand. So in the end, I think that ultimately what this will do is this will increase the push for Medicare for all, because what people will see is that, oh, well, since the Obamacare proposal failed, then we have no choice but to do the next best thing, which is Medicare for all. And we already have people on our side here. It's just that we don't need to make matters worse in order to get to the best solution, which is Medicare for all. We don't need to go backwards before going forwards. I'm not of the belief that things have to get worse before they get better, because this would damage people. This would kill people, potentially thousands of people, because Republicans want to play politics with people's lives because they don't like the ACA. So it's disgusting, and it really goes to show you how extreme the Republican Party is, how irrational they've become. They don't care at all about improving people's lives. It's just about beating the left and maintaining power. That's all this is about. And it's absolutely morally reprehensible.
Subscribe if you like this video, folks. Mike's tremendous, and he's doing a really, really good job. Many people are telling me about how wonderful the Humanist Report is. Bigly.